All right, let's go ahead and kind of put this into practice now at this point. So we just learned how the amplitude is the absolute value of A, and the period is whatever the original period is, so 2 pi or 360, divided by the B value. So keep that in mind as we go through this next problem. It says give the amplitude and period of the function y equals -4 times the sine of 3x. And then afterwards, we're going to sketch at least 2 cycles of it. So let's go for our amplitude first. Our amplitude, again, is the absolute value of A, which is -4. So our amplitude is 4. That means from wherever the center is, from our sketch, which since there's nothing being added, it's really +0 afterwards. It's not being moved up or down at all. But from the x-axis, we're going to go up 4 and down 4, and that'll be our new maximum and minimum. Our period, on the other hand, is the original period. And let's go ahead and do it in radians. So it would be 2 pi, but we're going to do 2 pi divided by b, because the value is being multiplied by 3, so it's getting through that original period 3 times as quickly, and so our new period is just that exactly, 2/3 pi. All right, so let's go ahead and graph this now. Sorry, it's not a very straight line. Let's try one more time. All right, it's a little bit better. So where originally our maximum was at 1, now our new maximum and new minimum likewise are going to be at 4 and -4. Before we would go out, one period would be all the way down at 2 pi, and then we would divide that into fourths, so 2 pi, pi, pi over 2, and 3/2 pi. But now, one full period, one complete cycle of that wave is going to happen at 2/3 pi. One complete cycle, again, is going to happen at 2/3 pi. So it's going to look, let's see, we're dealing with sine, so it's going to start at 0. So that whole wave, which before happened at 2 pi, that whole wave is now being completed by 2/3 pi. So there's kind of 2 different ways to think about it, and we'll go through that in just a second. But as far as graphing it, the easiest way to do this, I think, is going to be to cut our period, 2/3 pi, and cut it into fourths. So times 1/4. And that's going to give us, let's see, 2 pi over 12, which is, reduce it, that's pi over 6. So every pi over 6 is going to be a new kind of key point. It's either going to be a maximum, minimum, or 0, and I go through those steps there. So halfway between 0 and 2/3 pi is going to be 1/3 pi, pi over 3, which makes sense because that's 2 steps in, 2 steps of pi over 6. So it's really, pi over 3 is really 2 pi over 6, just reduced. So here we have pi over 6. And here we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6 pi, which is pi over 2. Going the other way, negative pi over 6, negative pi over 3, negative pi over 2, and negative 2/3 pi. And just, I want to kind of really make this clear, where these came from was, it's continuous steps of pi over 6. So this is 1 pi over 6, this is 2 pi over 6, just reduced to 3 pi over 6, and 4 pi over 6. So it's just continuous steps of 1/6 pi because it's 1/4 of our period. All right, so let's go ahead and graph this now at this point. And for sine of 0 is just 0. Now that first key point, which on our original graph would have been, so our original sine wave would be occurring at pi over 2 is now occurring at pi over 6. So we would have a maximum right here. We would go all the way up to positive 1, but now it's being multiplied by a negative 4. So what would go to a maximum has now dropped down to a minimum, so negative. What happened kind of 2 key steps in on the original graph is now happening at pi over 3, and we're back to 0. 3 steps in, we would be at what would normally be a minimum, but now, thanks to the negative we have out front, it's our maximum. And then at the end of the cycle, 1 complete period, back to 0. So here's that portion. Notice it looks just like the sine wave we have up here. Just due to the negative, it's been reflected over the x-axis. Going to the left side, going to the negative angles here, we're going to have what would have before been a minimum. Now, thanks to the negative, is now maximum. 0, our new minimum, again at negative 4, and then 0. So here's the second wave that it asked for. All right, and there's our 2 cycles of the graph. All right, I hope that helps.